Today's episode of the Life in Attleboro podcast is proudly presented by Confidence Fitness. If there's one thing in life that we have at least a little control over, it's our health. What we decide to eat and how much we decide to move our bodies. That's why I'm excited about this exclusive offer for you, just for listening to the Life in Attleboro podcast. Confidence Fitness is offering a 2-week jumpstart program for just $99. It includes 6 small group personal training sessions, so you can start building strength and muscle. You'll also receive their food and mood journal to get you thinking about what foods to eat and how they impact your body and mind. And you'll also get an in-body scan to measure your current body composition. All you have to do is go to lifeinattleboro.com and you'll see the link right there on our homepage. I'll also include the link in the show notes of this episode. Confidence Fitness is located at 453 South Main Street. Confidence Fitness. Strength for life, strength for sports. And now, on to the show. You are listening to the Life in Attleboro podcast, where we interview the city's most interesting people who are making a positive difference in our community. Hey everyone, I'm the host of the Life in Attleboro podcast, Mike Sullivan. Today I want to introduce you to Attleboro's newest movie star and her amazing parents who will leave you feeling inspired. Enjoy episode 31 of the Life in Attleboro podcast. Okay, joining me now is Derrah Gousie. She is the proud mother of Attleboro's next model and movie star. Derrah, thank you so much for being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
Oh, Mike, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is my pleasure. So before we get to the photo shoots and movie sets, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your beautiful and talented daughter.
Cecelia is absolutely incredible. She's 9 years old. She's currently a student at Peter Thatcher Elementary School with Miss Hirsch, loves school, loves dancing, gymnastics, cheerleading, which she just most recently got into. Nice. She's a ball of energy, and we have a lot of fun with her.
That's awesome. So when I was preparing for the interview with yourself, I read something on your website, which I will ask you about more in a minute. But on your website, you said when you and your husband, Matt, found out Cecelia was going to be born with Down syndrome, you guys felt every emotion a human can feel except joy.
Yeah.
That struck me. It was a powerful line, but as I kept reading, I learned how you guys turned it into an opportunity for education, and suddenly your worries and sadness actually turned into excitement. So can you please share how that emotional roller coaster really propelled you and Matt to live what you guys call a life with no limits?
Yeah, I love that. And I actually love hearing the question read to me, just because it does bring up a lot of emotions. And every year we take a moment and step back and actually appreciate how we were feeling in those moments when we did find out. So when I was pregnant and I had my very first ultrasound, the ultrasound came back with some scans that were a little bit high and abnormal. And so the doctors had us go and get some blood work done. The blood work then came back positive for trisomy 21, which is the genetic testing for Down syndrome. And at the time, that test was only about 98% accurate, but it was accurate enough. And the only way to get a confirmed diagnosis was to move forward with what's called an amniocentesis. And so we chose not to do that. But I remember where I was at work. I got a call from the doctor after having done the blood test. And when I heard the doctor's voice on the phone, I knew the news wasn't good, because that's the only reason why the doctor's calling. And he just said, "Derrah, I'm just calling to inform you that the blood work came back positive for trisomy 21. And in that moment, you're gasping for air. And I just felt a complete loss. Everything that I had thought that I knew that I wanted, and all of the dreams that you picture having, your child having, suddenly felt like impossible, like that could never happen. And the best way that I could describe it, I came home, met with my husband, I left work, we came together and we just sat for the rest of that day. And the best way that I can describe is it almost feels you have lost someone you loved, like somebody just died. And that sounds harsh, but that's the only way that I can explain how I was feeling in that moment, because truly what had happened was this image of what I thought my child was going to look like or could be died in that moment. But what I very quickly realized through educating myself was that that was a completely bogus thought. And in fact, my life is infinitely better, and I would not change a single thing about receiving the diagnosis of Down syndrome with Cecelia. So, yeah.
What a powerful answer, Derrah. Thank you for sharing that. Very personal. So, Derrah, all of that naturally and organically led to something amazing. So Back during the pandemic in 2020, you and Matt started a nonprofit. So can you please tell us the name of the nonprofit and why you guys chose to put in the work and make your idea come to life?
Yeah, so our nonprofit is called Cecelia's Adventures. And essentially, what we decided to do was after Cecelia was born, we were working really hard at making her do hard things. And so we constantly had people from the ELC coming into our homes and the Kennedy Donovan Center coming into our homes, teaching us how to be great parents and how to help Cecelia to be successful. And we were forcing her to do things that were really hard. And so my husband and I came together and said, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this more than just challenging her to do hard things, but how are we going to show her that we too will do hard things? And so we made this crazy commitment. Having never run more than, I think, 6 miles was the furthest I had ever run. We decided that we were going to start running marathons. And we didn't start with just one. We just committed from the get-go that we were going to do all of the world major marathons. And in doing that, we started to raise some money. And one of the things that my husband and I really don't like doing is asking people for money. But what we do believe in is making sure that the money that we get is going towards something meaningful. And so we decided that we were going to start a nonprofit organization where we could raise money and then really dictate where that money was going to be used. And so we focus on 3 different levels. So we focus at the national level. And so we're athlete ambassadors at a national level for the National Down Syndrome Society. So some of our fundraising goes towards the National Down Syndrome Society. We fundraise at the state level, so for our Massachusetts Down Syndrome Congress. And then at the local level, we spend a lot of our times personally doing programs, whether it's our No Limits fitness class that we offer. We do that for local students. It's free. We run it every summer. And then we also will go into the schools and do talks and educate and just talk about kids with differences and why it's so important to be inclusive and to teach your kids about people with different abilities.
I love that you challenged her to do hard things and then looked at each other and said, she's not going to be the only one. We're going to challenge ourselves to do hard things. That is awesome and leading by example and so very inspirational, Derrah.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So here's where things get interesting. So when we had our initial conversation, you and I, to prepare for the interview, you told me it was all about your previous efforts that you just mentioned, Cecelia's Adventures, the marathons, the other ventures that you guys took on. But all of those things combined got Cecelia noticed by a casting director. I'm going to let you tell us the story about how Cecelia has landed several modeling gigs and now even a lead role in a movie.
Yeah, it's crazy. Through all of our advocacy, through just Cecelia's Adventures, posting online, sharing photos, somehow we got connected with this woman, Christy Raymond, in this organization, Humankind Casting. And I saw a posting randomly that they were looking for a child that was within Cecelia's age range at the time. I want to say it was like 3 to 5 years old and of all abilities, right? I saw it online, turned to my husband. Cecelia has always loved the spotlight. She's always up for a good time and putting on a good show. And so we thought, why not? Let's just see what happens. So I literally just went on my cell phone, clicked a couple photos that I had, because as any true parent knows, your entire cell phone is filled with pictures of your children. So I just clicked a few and submitted it. And sure enough, she got the job. And so she did some modeling for a clothing company called Misha and Puff. And that was quite a few years ago. And I don't know that I would say that we caught the bug, but we had a lot of fun. And it was just so great to see the representation in the marketplace evolving. And we felt if this is something she enjoys, and we know that this is something that's important, we can get behind this and do a little bit more of it. So as Humankind would post about different jobs, if it made sense or Cecelia fit the criteria, we just started submitting regular photos. And she's landed quite a few jobs up until this point. So if you look at Baby Alive on Amazon, you'll see a picture of Cecelia because she did a photo shoot for Hasbro. She's done a couple runway shows that have been sponsored through Humankind Casting. And most recently, as you mentioned, we took a chance. And on a whim, when Christy from Humankind reached out to us, we submitted a video for her to be in a movie. Wow. And she got the job. And we were literally like, oh my goodness,
That's awesome.
we just did it on a whim. Like, all right, like pictures are one thing, but
Sure.
acting in a feature film, like a full length film, that's crazy.
Is the film out? When does it be?
It's not out.
Okay. When
So
was all the
we
taping?
are,
Have you guys recorded everything,
yeah.
filmed everything? Okay. Tell
Yeah,
us a
so
little
we
bit more
filmed
about that.
everything. Yeah, so we filmed everything in August.
Okay.
So actually, what had happened was they were filming over the course of 2 weeks in August. One of those weeks, we were actually planning to go on a Disney cruise.
Oh, wow.
So we had planned for a whole year to go on this cruise. And so they offered us the job, and we're like, okay, but we're not available for that 1 week. Like, we couldn't make that change. And so they were willing to work with us. So we went on a Disney cruise, came home on a Friday, and on Saturday morning, less than 24 hours later, we packed up and then we moved to Vermont for 9 days. And we lived in Vermont for 9 straight days in the month of August, filming till all hours of the night and like long days. But it was wild. It was just such an incredible experience. And it was very challenging, but she just absolutely loved being on that set. And every day when we would arrive, it was literally as though every cast member, every crew member was there just for her.
Amazing.
It was amazing. So the movie's not out yet. We're
Okay.
still waiting to find out. It's called The Bee. But yeah, we're super excited about it. And I'm just so grateful for the company that was filming the movie and the director to authentically hire someone to play the role of a person with a disability that actually has a disability.
Wow. Yeah, that's sounds like an incredible experience and a story that none of you guys will ever forget.
Definitely.
So something else when you and I were speaking before we started recording was something about your mother-in-law. She just happened to be shopping on Amazon and whoop,
Yes.
up pops Cecelia.
Yes. Yes. Middle of the workday, I get this random phone call from my mother-in-law. She does not call me that often, and she is screaming
Oh boy.
on the other end of the phone. And I literally thought, do I need to call 911? Like, what is going on? She's just yelling. She's on Amazon. She's on Amazon. I'm like, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? And then she's like, yeah, Cecelia is on Amazon. I'm like, no, she's not. And she is. It's Baby Alive. And so what's funny about some of these jobs is you get hired, you go, you do the photo shoot, but they don't tell you when and where, and they don't notify you when your pictures start being used, at least in my experience.
Gotcha.
Maybe that's not always the case, but in my experience, you're not notified. And so my mother-in-law was truthfully online on Amazon shopping, going to buy Cecelia a Baby Alive doll.
Oh, wow.
And she sees her granddaughter on the screen in the ad to buy from the doll. So
that is wild.
yeah, it was crazy. So of course, in that moment, I'm like frantically going on Amazon, looking up Baby Alive, and there she is, sure enough. So yeah, super fun, crazy experience.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So what else would you like the people to know about Cecelia, about your nonprofit, and just your life, your message in general?
Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity to answer that. I think what my husband and I, what our family would really want people to know about Cecelia and really about any other child with a disability is that they really are so inspiring. Cecelia is so inspiring to me and to everyone that she has the opportunity to interact with. And she is more than capable of doing anything and everything that she puts her mind to. She might need a little bit of extra help. She might take a little bit longer to get the job done or to achieve a particular goal, but with hard work, dedication, practice, and the right level of support, she is capable of doing just about anything. And I do believe that her success and just where she is today is truly because she's had an incredible support system around her that believes in her. And so I just want people to know that if you encounter somebody with a disability, first of all, ask about it, talk about it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And then I would also just encourage you to educate your kids just how to be kind. That's just normal, good human behavior. And believe in this mentality of having no limits, because that's really what we're all about. And limits are things that we put on ourselves and that you can put on other people. And in the very beginning, when we first found out that Cecelia was going to be born with Down syndrome or had a high likelihood to be born with Down syndrome, that's exactly what we did. We started limiting what we thought she was capable of doing. And as soon as we recognize that is not how we are going to live our lives, everything changed for us, for my husband. And I think for just how Cecelia has continued to grow and evolve and is going to continue to just be an incredible member of society. And we're super grateful for the community that we've built here in Attleboro. She's had amazing teachers. I cannot say enough good things about the teachers that have supported us and advocated alongside of us and helped to educate us so that we can be the best parents that we can be and that she can be the best that she can be. So use your community and just live life with no limits.
Amen. What a great message, Derrah. And that my takeaway from our conversation is the fact that you and Matt, when you first found out, you said you put limits on things and you thought your lives were going to be one way, but couldn't be farther from the truth. And it's been better than any of you could have imagined. So
much better.
Derrah, you told me that you and Matt just really love your daughter, and she is amazing, by the way. And you believe that everyone should be seen. So amen to that. And thank you for all of your efforts. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. What an amazing family. One thing I want to make sure I mention is the fact that Cecelia's Adventures also provides an annual scholarship to an Attleboro high school student who embodies kindness and inclusivity. If you'd like to learn more about this incredible nonprofit, I'll include the link to Cecelia's Adventures website in the show notes of this episode. Hey, I want to tell you about our new sponsor, Hoban Accounting Services. If you're a small business owner, you know how much of a hassle it can be to keep track of every penny earned and every penny spent. But thankfully, Hoban Accounting Services is on a mission to heal your headaches and fizzle your frustration when it comes to crunching those pesky numbers. Hoban Accounting Services has helped local businesses for more than 7 years. That's when Nicole Hoban, a proud mother of twin girls, launched her business. She's a QuickBooks Pro advisor with tons of awards to her name. If you mention the Life in Attleboro podcast, you'll get 10% off for your first 6 months. If you'd like to support a small business owner in our city, just tap the link in the show notes of this episode and Nicole will be in touch. Hoban Accounting Services. A great bookkeeper should be an asset, not an expense. More than 600 people have signed up for the Life in Attleboro email list. Are you one of them? If not, you're missing out on exclusive benefits, including early access to every new podcast episode, special savings at Attleboro restaurants and businesses, behind-the-scenes videos and insight, and you'll stay in the know about cool events in our great city. Just go to lifeinattleboro.com and you'll see the sign-up display right there on the homepage. And if you know someone who would make a great guest on our podcast, please shoot us an email at lifeinattleboro@gmail.com. That's it for today. Life in Attleboro is a great thing. Support our community, promote positivity, and make a stranger smile. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Life in Attleboro podcast.